Hi, I'm Dr. George Yancey. Let's share some paradigms. Paradigm share today concerns anti-Semitism and Christianophobia. Now, anti-Semitism, hatred, intolerance of Jews, and Christianophobia, hatred, intolerance of Christians, have a similarity in they're both bigotry against religions. There has been a surge of anti-Semitism on the right, creating a divide in that political party. You may be familiar with some of the controversy concerning Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro and Megyn Kelly. I'm not going to go into that very much. If you want to do a search on that, you may. I'll just simplify in that some ugly anti-Semitism has emerged on the right. There's always been anti-Semitism on the right. That's not new. But it's become more forefront, more acceptable on the right than it has in the past. Personally, I'm hoping for the team that's fighting against anti-Semitism on the right to win out. But since I'm not a man of the right, I guess I only have a limited say in what happens there. Nonetheless, we've seen this. It's creating a divide in the party. This divide is being talked about quite often on a lot of talking head shows, and so it's not hard to find discussions about this bias. Now, Christianophobia. I've done the research on Christianophobia. And Christianophobia is a feature much more on the left than the right. And even today, even as the right has become more secular, you don't see a surge of Christianophobia on the right. Yeah, Christianophobia has been a feature on the left. Part of my fear with the emergence of Trump as president is that it'll fester itself even more on the left, as people on the left have more reasons not to like Christians. So we see anti-Semitism on the right, Christianophobia on the left. Be sure, yes, there is anti-Semitism on the left, but right now, and some of these dynamics happening on the right do apply to the left, but right now I'm concentrating on the right, okay? So I acknowledge that there is anti-Semitism on the left. All right. A lot of this anti-Semitism on the right, I think, is tied to the emergence of more secular conservatives. I looked at the Baylor Religion Survey, and I ran a correlation analysis, and I found that there was a correlation to not attending church services and feeling Jews as a threat of 0.0191, which is not tremendous, but it is significant. It is strong enough to tell me that if you're a conservative, you don't attend religious services, you do have more of a likely to see Jews as a threat. Why is that important? I think that there is a religious component to both Christianophobia and anti-Semitism. Okay, before I go on to that, let me just say that if this conversation is interesting to you, please give me a like. If what I discuss, Christianophobia, identity politics, these things are interesting to you, consider liking my channel. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to give me a like. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. As you can tell, I'm a Christian, but I don't have an allegiance to the right or the left. I want to create a space for us Christians without any allegiance to have this free space to talk about these issues. I think a key similarity between the Christianophobia on the left and the anti-Semitism on the right is a lack of religiosity. Now, I always want to be cautious. I'm not saying that all people with Christianophobia on the left are secular, or that all seculars on the left have Christianophobia, likewise on the right. But there is a correlation there. I know there is with Christianophobia. I'm beginning to discover one with anti-Semitism on the right, which brings me to a conclusion that religious bigotry, especially within secular individuals, can empower some of this anti-religious hatred and is a factor. Of course, people have a right to not be religious, to be atheist, agnostic, a nun, whatever. But there's this sort of notion that if you don't have a religion, that you're more tolerant, you're more open. And that's simply not the case. Those who don't have a religion need to start to check themselves about religious bigotry just as much as anyone else. I'm not going to say more so because clearly there's religious bigotry among believers. And I'm not sure I have the evidence to say that's more prominent, but it is prominent. It is fueling some of this anti-Semitism and religious bigotry that we see in our society. My prediction is that as conservatives in the past few years have attracted more secular conservatives, there will be more of a struggle with anti-Semitism and I think with Islamophobia as well, although that's not what I'm addressing today. Christianophobia, that's been for a while now, been a staple on the left, and also driven more by those who are not religious than those who are religious, although there are some religious leftists who have Christianophobia. My hope is that both the anti-Semitism and the Christianophobia can be confronted in an honest manner, in a manner in which we can go, look, we can have our political differences. That's part of being American. There's nothing wrong with saying, I think you're wrong, and you think I'm wrong, and we have disagreements. But not to drag in a religious bigotry where we dehumanize people because they have different religious beliefs than us. Whether it happens on the right or the left, I don't care. I'm a Christian, but I also hate Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. We need to be more introspective of how religious bigotry is impacting and poisoning our political process. If we do that, regardless of whether this is on the right or the left, our political economy will be better. We'll be able to work out our solutions more effectively without having this sort of religious hatred damaging our ability to communicate with each other. Well, I hope this was useful to you. I hope you enjoyed this. And once again, if you like what I have, then please come support this channel and please come back. We can shatter some more paradigms.